6 o'clock on my laptop, so we'll get started. We want to start by acknowledging our traditional territories of the Inuit and Silk people, as well as our Métis community. And also remind everyone that it is also Indigenous Heritage Month this month, as well as Pride Month. Can I get adoption of the agenda? Seconded by Kent Laidlaw. Anyone opposed? Carried. Minutes of the regular meeting held May 14th, motion to adopt, moved by trustee Rayner, seconded by trustee Jepson. All those in favor? Carried. Policy committee meeting held on May 20th. So we had adopted in the past, moved by trustee Ward, seconded by trustee Rayner. Carried. Any business arising from the minutes? In your reports, there's the closed meeting report from May 14th for your reference. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Lawrence for our first presentation, which I believe is the Crimson Tide Theater.
So, Jamie?
I'm Jamie. Is there anywhere you want me to be, or
You can be here and I
The
can.
stage, so.
Okay. I'm used to that. Okay, so thanks very much for having us. My name's Jamie Opelby. I'm president of the Crimson Tide Theater Group. This is Rod Fletcher. He's our treasurer. We are both actors. We both participate in the theater group as actors. So first of all, who is Crimson Tide? Well, we're a nonprofit theater society in Princeton, British Columbia. All of our actors, set designers, costume people, stagehands, everything are all volunteer. Nobody gets paid any kind of a salary or anything like that. It's all completely volunteer work. All of our funding basically comes from ticket sales. We have a few small sponsors that we get when we go to put on a show. So a sponsor may contribute to programs or posters or something like that. So basically all of our funding comes basically from our ticket sales and a little bit from sponsorship. We've been at Riverside, my understanding, because I've only been with the theater group for about 7 years now, since 2008. Crimson Tide has been putting on plays and shows at Riverside. We participate in what they call O-Zone. You'll see it up there. Really what that means is that's the Okanagan zone of the theater society. So all theater groups in the Okanagan area will go to O-Zone. It's a festival, it's a competition where you put on a play over a week period of time. Everybody puts on a play each day, and then they judge all the plays and you get awards. We've won a number of awards at O-Zone. So we do represent the Princeton School District at O-Zone. And like I said, we've won, I think, 3 or 4 awards there so far. So what do we provide? You can go to the next slide, please. So we provide an opportunity for all ages, all walks of life, all kinds of people. We don't have any stipulation on who can participate, whether they want to be an actor, whether they want to be a stagehand, just help with props, or even just the concession stand. We do not. Anybody who comes gets a job, basically. We've even had some plays where we've had so many kids that we didn't have parts for them, so we would just put them on stage sitting around a fireplace or something like that. So they felt like they were a part of the play. We put on a minimum of 2 plays per year. We put one on in the spring, and we put our late spring. We put one on at Christmas time. We rehearse for that all during the fall. The Christmas play is a family-orientated play. You'll see, if you go farther along, you can see a couple of pictures there if you want. Somebody can flip forward. Like you can see all the children there, and there's some. And if you go to the next one, that's a backstage scene of one of the plays, and you can see all of the kids and stuff that are participate in the play. So the Christmas play is family orientated, always has kids in it, 10, 12, 15 kids. Like I said, even if we have too many, we find something for them to do so they can be a part of it. It's having a theater in Princeton or anywhere, it's a cultural and it's a social opportunity for not only the people who are participate in the theater, but the residents too. Like when you live in Princeton in the wintertime, there isn't a whole heck of a lot to do. So when there's a play on, it gives people an opportunity to go see a play. And when we do our winter plays, we quite often will sell out pretty well every show for the winter play. Not so much for the spring play, but definitely the winter play. We almost sell out every show. We also offer a bursary for high school students who are part of Crimson Tide. So if a student at the high school in Princeton wishes to go on and do theater work, and they have been a part of Crimson Tide, they can apply to us for a bursary. And the last one we gave out was, we didn't give one out this year because no one qualified. But the year before, we gave one out for $250. A little bit of money that we have from our profits. We have contributed in the past to the theater itself. Like some of the lights that are in there, Crimson Tide has purchased. Some of the sound system stuff, Crimson Tide has purchased. Just bits and pieces that we need when we're putting on a show, but we leave them there. We do our own up until like recently. What I want to talk about is the fees, and part of the fees are related to janitorial work and stuff. But up until now, Crimson Tide, we always cleaned up after ourselves after every rehearsal, every show. I don't recall hearing very many complaints about us leaving the place in disrespect or disrepair or anything like that. We do clean up. We even come back on Sundays after our last show and take everything down, take everything out. We even sweep the floors when we're done. So that's who we are. Our proposal is basically the proposed rates. They're going to create some financial challenges for us. We normally charge $15 to $20 for a show. And sometimes we make a little bit of a profit, but our idea is not to make hundreds and thousands of dollars or anything. We try to break even or come out a little bit ahead. So we charge around $15 to $20 per show, depending. With the rates that are being proposed by the school district now, we would have to increase our ticket prices by $10. So they would go up 50%. Just to pay the rates for rental and things that the school district is asking us for. That's a significant increase for seniors and people like that in Princeton, and anybody who wants to attend the theater. Like for the ticket prices to all of a sudden jump by 50%, that's a significant cost increase for a lot of people. So some of the things like the cleaning charges, we could talk about that. We might be able to, maybe waive some or reduce some or do something like that, or we can contribute our own labor and time to that. One of the things that has happened in the past, prior to the rate increase that's proposed now, we paid a flat fee. We paid $100 a month. That was what we paid to rent the facility and to put on shows. So now so $100 a month for 4 months was $400. The proposed rates, our fees are going to be about $2,200. Go up from $400 to $2,200. It's a significant increase for us, especially when we're nonprofit. One of the other things that we proposed, I know we take up some storage space there, which we don't pay for because it's in the basement down there. We will undertake to find our own storage space if that's what the school district would like to see. We can get a container, and we've got some people who are willing to keep the container on their property to store our props and our sets and things like that. And then the other thing that we have been talking about, and I think we've talked to the school district in the past about it too, is there's no drama program at Princeton High School. And there are kids who are interested in drama. Like I'm sure everybody's a little bit interested in drama and always maybe want to get on stage once in a while. But we have talked about developing some kind of a drama program jointly with the school district where, you know, we could even provide acting lessons and things like that, like, you know, for school kids after school or during school or whatever, things like that. So anyway, it was just the potential for developing some type of a program jointly between us and the school district to provide theater experience to students and as in teaching. So with that, I ask any questions?
Questions from the group? Hey,
Yeah, I was just curious, how many weeks are needed per play?
We rehearse. You normally start middle of September and go till October. The show is usually at the beginning of December. We don't want to get too close to Christmas because it's hard to get people to come to the show. So it's about 3 months.
Firstly, commend you for having a community theater. That's amazing. And the arts are so important for young people and for our society. So more on the name Tyne. Is that like a fork tine? Okay.
It's the fork of the river.
Huh? Okay.
It's crimson is the color of the hills. And the Tyne is the fork in where the two meet and the civil. That's what we mean.
So we have currently the fees are like $400 to rent the facility.
What we have paid, currently paying before the renovations was $400, $100 a month was what we paid.
Okay, well, I would just like to say that I think it's important that we have community groups use our facilities because that's what they're there for as well. So we'll work very hard to see what we can do to support your proposal. But I just want to thank you. I didn't know there's a theater over there. I'd like to check it out.
Yeah, if I could just say a couple of words too, yeah, first of all, I know you get your press for time, but thanks for letting us come here. As a group, we're all anticipating, this moment to come in here and speak how we feel about what's going on in Princeton. And like for the winter play, like we said, we get all these kids. But you know, with that, it comes the parents, the grandparents, the aunts and the uncles, and it brings everybody. And it's a well-received community, and like Jamie was saying, it's been there for a number of years. And what we would really like to ask is if we could maybe. I know this is all kind of new for you, putting on some numbers together. If we could stay where we are, maybe just for a year, and let everybody let the dust settle with what's going on with what you guys have come together with, the school board taking over the place. Let Crimson Tide just be Crimson Tide. Come there, give the people of the community a good show, and then come back on it, in a year and see where we're at, and maybe we could come up with a solution that's going to be good for everybody. But it's such a huge thing in Princeton to have this this theater group, and the kids get a credit for it if they come in and from the school, and there's no drama class in the school, and everybody's waiting for us to get back, and hopefully we're going to have a real positive answer with moving forward and getting back into that theater, because this last spring play, I'll be real quick, I know we're short. This last spring play, we had to go next door to the Legion on a small little stage where we had to bring all our props over, take the props out of the after the rehearsal, and then take them to another place, and then we had to go over to the library, no props at all, in this little room, and practice our lines and everything like that. And it was such a handful, and then never mind trying to remember your lines, and we got this, and it's anyways, we're I know I'm going, but anyways, so hope you give it some consideration.
does your board have a bit of a plan to help come part of the way with the increase? You've known,
Well,
you've known about
we-
the increase for a little.
We do have options, like,
Ah.
well, there's a couple of churches, one of the churches in town actually has a stage in their basement. They've actually approached us, they wanted to start using it. We have said, well, we're talking to the school district right now, we'll talk to you later about that. And then the town also has offered to help us out a little bit too with rehearsal space, at least, not for performing space. But we could afford to pay, like, it's all about the ticket prices, like, really.
Fundraiser.
Yeah, like, we don't do, and a lot of the fundraisers that, or the grants that are available. We don't qualify for some of those, like, just because of who we are, the size of us and things like that. But we could afford, like, I'm thinking a ticket price increase of a few dollars would not be out of the question. Put it that way. So, like, we would, personally, I would entertain more than $100 per month. Not as much as being requested, but I think we could afford it, $200-300 a month, maybe.
Myself and then Jim.
It just, like I said, it all reflects back on the ticket prices, like, you could charge us $1,000 a month, we'd have to sell tickets for, $60 and we'd have no attendance. So it's a balancing act, right? It's a real.
Have you reached out to the United Way too on some of their community grants? I know some of the groups up here have, so I'm just wondering.
We have not talked to the United Way, I don't, in Princeton.
I think there's
They're in
still
every
dollars
region.
because we're both affected by floods too, that they still have dollars. But that might be a group to talk to as well,
Yeah,
because they will support community events as well. And I know dollars are being used up here through the person connected with United Way for a whole series of events, whether it's theater or community arts council.
yeah, but, and I know what you're saying, but one year you might get the grant, the next year you don't get the
That's
grant, right? And for a theater group, we need to have,
Certainty.
we need to have some kind of a certainty, because we buy things, we invest in things. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. So you qualify one year, the next year you don't.
I'm just wondering what the increase is it due to custodial? Or do you know off the top?
I'm not sure. I'm gonna guess it's custodial cost, and I don't know what was in place before.
If you remember, I think it was back in the fall, you passed interim new fees for all facilities across the district. And so this is one of the consequences of those new fees that you passed across the district. And I think that was the policy that was still coming back, but you had passed, and you've done that because of the amount that the city was increasing their fees here. But, and we are obligated under the QP contract to pay the QP rate, and I think that was the other issue in Daryl thinking if we had other people cleaning the building, that would be contracting out of our custodial services, which would be contrary to the collective agreement because it is a school facility. So that was the other. I'm getting that right? That's right.
Crimson Tide, like we're.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't think.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I'm not sure how it works, but anyways, we're like Jamie was saying, we clean up and we sweep after every rehearsal and play, and we're also willing to step forward and clean the washrooms.
But
And
it's,
Yeah,
there's a union issue.
I don't doubt that gets done. I just know there's a piece in the QP collective agreement that may have a rub on it. Unless QP was.
Willing to waive it, and I would be very surprised if they would. They fiercely guard hours and
Oh, yeah.
wages. Yeah.
I was operations manager for the city of Surrey, I know what.
Yeah, there you go.
I just, I could just, after you.
We'll go you and then John to conclude.
Just wanted to support how inclusive you guys are for a lot of our community that don't maybe fit in hockey or baseball or all the other things. Not only age inclusivity, but just from every angle. It's just from me growing up there, it's been a really lovely, lovely organization. So thank you for coming today. I really heard you. Yeah.
So I just want to say, you heard Gordon say, we approved a policy that had increased the fees, and we're seeing the results of that fee increase. So, I think I know that myself, I need to probably have some dialogue with the rest of the board. We do that in camera, but I want to thank you for sharing your concerns.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks for.
Thank you, guys.
Here. Yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you to you, Jamie. You and I have gone back and forth, so nice to see you in person. I'm Courtney. So thanks for coming to do the presentation. I appreciate it, and I appreciate what you do for the community in Princeton.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Our next presentation is, you remember a year or two ago, you approved a trip to Costa Rica.
Oh, yeah.
MSF is now going to share that trip with us.
So thank you for having us. I am here with Cassie Hall, grade 12 student graduating it was part of the most excellent adventure that we went on. And then Molly Brigden, teacher at MSS, who was the brains behind the operation and worked with EF Tour to get the trip off the ground and all sorted. And Cassie turned our trip as part of her capstone to her career life connections piece. And so we thought no better to hear from than Cassie about our trip to Costa Rica. So it's all yours, Cassie.
Yeah, so this trip had such a great impact on me, and I think traveling is so important for students. And I just wanted to share a bit of the experience with you guys with this video documentation of the trip.
Yeah. 35. Gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Huh. Alright.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
no. Chicken.
Wow. Really well.
And I think if I could share that, if any of you have ever traveled or looked back at old photos, you're like, oh, the colors were way better in real life, and the smells and the sounds and I also think that our students that went, they're way too young to know what an experience it was. And I remember being on that first boat and seeing the wild animals. And I don't know how many times I turned to Molly and said, do you believe like this is like, we're living this right now? And it was really super great. It was really neat to watch kids step out of their comfort zone. It was really neat to see students talking to the locals, or they would come back with their Spanish translator and be like, I gotta go back to the store and ask him, and they'd be practicing their Spanish and trying to get out there to try. And then just to watch and explore, watch a student step on an airplane for the first time. When you take it for granted and you're kind of like, would be, you know, frustrated with something in travel when kids have never done it before, to see things through their eyes was, I think the chaperones probably got as much out of it as our students, but it's also been really fun to watch them come home and be able to share this with them. And EF Tours, who we worked with, could not have been better. They were with Molly before we left, and they picked us up at the airport. We had Molly sent Priscilla was our tour guide. She picked us up at the airport at 11 o'clock at night and didn't leave our side. When we had kids that were sick, she would take us to the pharmacia and let us mumble our way through Spanish before she would step in, and we would learn that the pharmacists, they speak beautiful English, but they sure let us try. But EF Tours was really wonderful to work with, and there was never a time where we felt we were not safe or taken care of, or there was a backup plan. If when we had students that were ill, we're already saying, okay, here's plan A, here's plan B, here's plan C. If it goes sideways and we have to take a student to the hospital, this is your role in it. EF Tours brings in a separate tour guide to stay with the adult and the student as they go, and then Priscilla would have stayed with our group. So there was never a time where, until we actually got to the Toronto airport and trying to get 27 kids through customs.
That was on.
But other than that, there was never a concern of, oh goodness. So we would love to answer questions. We could stay here all night and talk about.
Questions for the group?
Just,
Did you ever eat a mango they bought?
I did.
Might have
that
been how she
mango.
got sick.
Apparently you're supposed to wash the outside.
Wash it with some bleach, yes.
Yeah, so it honestly though, worth it.
Yeah, what, because I know you're thinking of another trip, but if you take Dukerol a month before.
I was gonna say, you know what's interesting is the kids that took Dukerol were the ones that got sick.
Yeah.
Oh,
Interesting.
Yeah, and then the kids that didn't take it, they were like, I told you.
public health nurse, that's fine. Questions for them?
Or just a comment, like, great job on the, like, I see a future travel blog happening here, travel the world. You lit up, that was really beautiful, and it was your capstone, did I understand that? Any plans for future travel?
Hopefully, yes. There's so many places I would love to go. I would totally go back to Costa Rica, but like, there's just so many countries, like, how do you go to every country? Yeah. So, yeah, definitely sparked a travel interest.
There's a lot of gap year travel abroad programs available for young adventurous souls just like you. It's
Just congratulations on making such a wonderful memory for your capstone. You did an amazing job. Excellent.
Yeah. I'm excited to have this. I actually haven't shown any of the people, except the video, and I think they'll be pretty excited to look back on the trip as well.
Will it be on YouTube or anything like that?
I wasn't planning on putting it on YouTube, but hopefully.
You can buy the 30-minute version though for it.
Yeah, you can get it on Blu-ray.
How did you find the difference too, like, not just culturally, but social and economic, because we're quite immersed in accumulation of more and more things we may not necessarily need, where you may have seen people content with not needing as much of that type of fulfillment. I'm not sure, but
Boats that we actually went on the first day, it's, what was he, 93? And just like every day he had been they had these big oars and they like just took us through the canal and then we'd get stuck and then they were like, okay, guys, no limbs out. There's crocs in these waters. And then they would just jump out like there wasn't crocs in the water and like get us unstuck with the big oar and like push. And they were just like content with that. Like that was just their everyday. Yeah.
We actually talked to a number of locals and the adults in talking about their houses don't have a car garage, they have a house. And when you talk about their lifestyle is very much, what do we need so that we can live? And when we would say, you know, what's the average earnings, and they would share that, and they're like, you know, what's upper class? And it was like, why? Why would you want more? And I'm like, right. I think lots of us came home and we're like, it's time for a garage sale. We need less to live. And they always say, a mucho gusto. So it was like they would serve you with pleasure. And it wasn't, but you felt it from them.
Yeah.
They were just happy to be of service. They were happy to be around. It was just from the moment we landed till we left, it was just pure vida. Yeah.
Pure life.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for the presentation. And I understand I'm gonna move something up in the agenda because I think you want to give us a sales pitch for 26, 27.
So with that, Cassie would love it if the students in grade 9 and 10 were able to have a very similar opportunity. So we're asking for travel for spring break of 2027. So that's not next school year, that's the school year after. And similar to how we did it this year, kind of 2 years out, gives families lots of time to plan, gives lots of fundraising opportunities. Tours was really good with setting up different payment plans so that it was really affordable for families to do over an extended period of time. I believe that would be part of the board package, but very much same tour company. We're even able to request the same tour guide if she would have us. So that's the ask, is to let us try again with a new group of students.
We would need an approval in principles, just so they can start working on that and get later. Seconded by Washington. Anyone opposed? Carried.
Start planning.
Thank you for having us. Sure.
That's fantastic.
Can I just talk about one thing that Ms. Mulan and I talked about? So we've just completed an equity scan and we've had the McCreary Center report on kids' lives in our communities. And Ms. Mulan and I had a really good conversation about MSS's commitment to making sure that all students know this is an opportunity that's open to them, and MSS's commitment to providing opportunities for kids to fundraise, because it's a real privilege to be able to experience something like this. And I just really want to, I guess, publicly have it noted that all kids at MSS have the opportunity to work with the MSS team for the chance to go, because it's a beautiful opportunity, but we really want kids to know that they have a chance, a realistic chance of doing this. And the commitment was real and clear, and I think it's just so important for it to be noted publicly.
And you're targeting the 9, 10s for their 11, 12 years.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And I would agree with you that EF is probably the best travel company. It's the one I used to go with when I would take kids on these trips. And I think the video really showed it. Those are lifelong memories, and people that may not have been super close before you went on that trip, and it lets you form bonds with people that you may not have previously. I know all the trips that I've led, you know, I still talk. I still call them my kids, even though they're in their 30s and 40s now. We still talk about the trips that we went to. So I think it's great that our schools are providing these opportunities and our board supports it. So just thank you for leading that trip.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next item is in the Indigenous education update, and Angela, I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to start, I have some guests with me, but I just want to take a couple minutes to thank those of you who were able to attend Indigenous Grad for coming. It was a beautiful event. And I do want to let you know that your attendance there, I know how busy everyone is. It was a long night, was noted and appreciated. So thank you so much for taking your time. Also wanted to thank Gordon for your very thoughtful gift that you left with the grants. That was, I thought it was very thoughtful. So thank you for that. And I'm here today, excited to have two students with me to share about our Inspire trip that we attended in April. It was April 8th and 9th. It was called the Inspire Soaring Indigenous Youth Empowerment Gathering. And the two students here have stuff to share, but I just want to highlight one thing. I know it's on my report, but I do want to highlight the importance of Indigenous-based workshops that are exclusively for Indigenous students. They have facilitators and mentors from Indigenous communities who serve as role models. These leaders inspire students by showcasing their own success, their hardships, and their resilience. They build confidence and encourage students to see a future where they can do anything they want. And just from my perspective, being there as an observer, it did just that. The presenters were amazing. They were inspiring, and I left there feeling like these kids were getting recruited and they could basically do whatever they want. So I'm so thankful that Nolan Garcia has come to share his experience with us, and I'll let Nolan start.
Hey folks, hey, my name's Nolan Garcia. I had the opportunity to go Vancouver with my fellow, what was it, grade 10 and 11s. Was cool conference, it was a good time. I first heard about this opportunity from Melissa, who had emailed my mom. Mom was right on it, signing it right up. She told me spread the word, so I told all my cousins, should come on this trip, so you can have some fun. And that made it all much fun. It was a great thing. And my older cousin Simon Cisco there, he said he went. He went on a trip with Melissa and he said he had a great time. It was a good experience. And he highly recommended going. So I took his advice there. There were 16 of us on the bus over, and the bus riders. It was long, but it was good. Had a good, like, it was kind of like the Costa Rica trip, I guess you could say, when just talk on the bus, everybody, not people you normally talk to, and just kind of make connections and stuff. Yeah. When we got there, it was kind of a relief off the shoulders. Travel and take a little time off school was pretty nice. We got to the hotel. Chaperones took us out of Vancouver for the night. We had some fun. And in the morning, I woke up around 8. We went to the conference, and it was really cool just to walk in the doors and see that many fellow Indigenous people there, just all the communities. My original band is from Ontario, and I actually met some kids from there, my age. Wow, so that's kind of neat to do. I reckon the trip itself was great, but the company was just better. I had my two cousins, Evan Sterling and Willie Garcia, with me, and just hung out. Lots of good time. Hotel, trip, conference. I attended the it's healing through entrepreneurship with Veronica McCrae. She shared her stories about what she used to do and how she recovered, just dealing with intergenerational trauma, just moving forward and putting her name out there, just moving up in the world. And it was inspiring for sure. There was a prep rally we went to. We got to go to BC Place. I myself, I'm in a rock band. Called 9 o'clock kind if you want to come check us out. It was really cool just to be in BC Place because I'm a big concert guy too. Love going to them. It's always a good time. And it was just really cool to be in BC Place where so many other people were there. It was really cool to see Indigenous artists perform and just inspired. It's awesome. Overall, great experience, and it helped me with all the job fair booths and stuff. There's just a lot of them. I tried to get to every single one. I couldn't. There's so many. It was really great. Really good to just ask a lot of questions. Every little route I could take, it was really cool just to figure out that there's always a path you can take. But yeah, that's.
Thank you.
For sharing.
I was gonna ask if he's a singer.
You know Bobby Garcia?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my uncle.
Oh, wow.
And his son Colby Garcia is the lead singer of my band. So, Colby Garcia, people.
Not about the pep rally. The whole of BC Place was ours.
Wow.
The whole thing.
Wow.
It was pretty incredible.
Was there a point where we made our own round circle with everybody and like around the whole thing? It
Oh,
was
wow.
big enough for us to make a whole circle.
Oh.
It's really cool.
We did a world record. We had the biggest circle dance.
That's
cool.
Jeez.
And next we have Estrella Jackson Alviar. Over here, sorry, not here.
That's Spanish, I said it's Spanish, so his last name, that's mostly everybody's, they try to pronounce it. Yeah, sorry. Anyway, so you just said my name, straight out Jackson Alviar. I'm from the Lord of the Indian Band, so that's from here, and I'm currently a grade 11 student at their secondary. So that's a lot of college stuff that we have to do and prep for and see what our opportunities are. And this trip was very eye-opening and empowering to see all the opportunities we're able to look into for our futures and stuff. There was a bunch of workshops and I attended the Making Money Make Sense, where RBC Big Specialists talked about how to save money in certain ways, in certain categories for our futures, and I thought that was very cool. Another standout session we had was navigating post-secondary as rural Indigenous student, which was led by Logan Mason and Tracy Harper. They spoke openly about the challenges of moving away from home and education, and reassured us that despite the struggles that we have what it takes to succeed in the future. And that was very eye-opening and very like calming to know that people can live away from home. Like, I think that's kind of nice to know. I also attended career exploration and financial services. I'm very interested in business aspect and maybe pursuing that in my college, maybe later on. And it was directed by Megan Shannon from CIBC. She inspired me to think differently about different career paths and highlight the importance of Indigenous voices in shaping the financial industry, because there's not a lot of people in the financial industry that should share. Like, she was one of the main people that are in that type of industry. I can't remember what exactly she was part of exactly, but she was one of the people, and that there's not a lot of them there. One of the most motivating parts of the conference was seeing so many young Indigenous leaders and connecting with universities and employers from all of Canada. There was so many, like he was saying, there was so many there. Like, you couldn't go to all of it. It was like one whole big room for it, and it's so cool. It was nice to ask questions about business, what their opportunities were for Indigenous students, housing, all of stuff. The energy at the event was amazing. The prep rally was really cool. There was Notorious Cree, there was dismounting those res because they performed for us. That was really fun. And yeah, the round dance circle, that was really cool. We even had a challenge that Melissa created for us to meet the most amount of people and speakers and such, and me and him actually tied.
Next time you'll be.
Yes. That was really fun. We even got gift cards and that was really cool. I'm thankful for the school for making this trip possible, and especially to Melissa Pinion for organizing it. She was amazing and organized a hotel dinner and us having to go have free time and downtime to go into downtown Vancouver. I've never been to downtown Vancouver, but I've never stayed there. So it was nice to be able to walk around and go explore and all that. And yeah, it's nice to know that I have opportunities for next year after school.
Fantastic.
Wow. I saw you at Gastown. I see a picture with the claw.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be nice.
Oh,
There were indigenous students from every province in BC, except for one province, I can't remember. There's one of the.
there was a bunch of people there, a lot of students from all over, Lincoln, have traveled so far, yes.
Thank you for coming to share your story.
Yes.
I was thinking, just, we should probably have students present at our IEC meetings about the like, so they see the benefits of where the dollars go.
Yeah.
Just something to think about, but.
She's here for support.
Did you go as well? Okay.
This is Lily.
Great reports you got.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. You know, we will be looking for a secretary treasurer and
I heard so.
maybe you'll be the secretary treasurer and you can be the backup singer.
It's very clear, it's his band,
Yes, yes, but he said his cousin was the lead singer.
in his band.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you very much to both of you. It's not easy going to do a presentation in front of like the board or anyone else. You guys are amazing. You guys did an amazing job. You should be very proud of yourselves. And you're inspiring for what you want to do like in the future.
I should add that Ms. Milan sent me a text apologizing that she had to leave because she was really proud of you for being here and what you've done, and she just wanted to really know that. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lily.
Those were good reports. Really
This is
good report.
Yeah. Two hard acts to follow, Courtney.
Oh.
It's a vacation report.
So Misty did a really nice piece celebrating Beryl and Bob Cook, who have created a local vision screening program in their retirement. They especially like working with our district, and you know, to me, this really just highlights it takes a village to meet the needs of many. So just really thankful to them and that we're able to access those services. So.
No cost and
It's brilliant.
So because the world is small,
yeah.
Beryl and Bob are the grandparents of one of my daughter's husbands. And so I have met them in different contexts, and they cannot say enough great things about the principals in the schools in our district in Merritt, Princeton, and how welcome they feel in the schools and how valued they feel. So it's small world.
And then Daniela has submitted her last report as Vice Principal of Early Learning and Childcare. And she just really highlights all the great work that she does for us over the year. She really brings families together, especially around literacy. She's present and she's really made her a name for herself across the province with her dedication. So she's shared the different game nights, the after school programming. She is going to be a great principal at Diamondville, but it's our loss at district office. So just really wanted to highlight the work that she's done. And you know, I think the childcare center in Riverside is just a great testament to her hard work and dedication and her passion around this. So just very grateful to have had the opportunity to work with her last year.
Can I share the world's best story about Daniela?
Oh.
So as you may or may not be aware, there was a bit of a fire incident earlier this week, and people were trying to support and look after things, and there was an EA who was trying to direct traffic, but I thought, oh my goodness, this isn't safe. Daniela said, I have a high vis jacket that's in my car from Riverside. So she runs over, puts it on, and she's directing traffic. And Mr. Anderson looked and said, how did you find that so quickly? That's Daniela. Makes it happen.
Remember the track meet last year as the tornado came through.
Yes.
With those of you who have canopies up, please just didn't miss a beat, just calm.
That's Daniela. Yeah.
like just a comment, like bittersweet ending and beginnings, but what an absolute gift. It's been to hear her reports on the work she's doing for littles in our district. And across the board, a total pleasure.
Yeah.
To know that we still get to have her in our district. Wow, what amazing opportunity she's created. What a culture of care and learning and fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
just a gift.
Absolutely.
You could pass that.
I will make sure.
Will be how we carry that on going forward, maybe in a different way, but how we build on
Absolutely.
that. 'Cause
Yeah. She's not, her heart isn't leaving early learning, don't you worry.
Well, you know, I think there was a conspiracy in this office, the number of kindergarten teachers that ended up. I don't know who was leading that, Jane.
So interesting.
Healthy promoting schools, feeding futures update is our next one.
So Lisa Nelson Smith. Is it possible for me to get in the middle?
It's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. Can we move tables just gently?
There we go. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you. I'm very used to being in the middle because this is how I do lots of my health lessons, is that we create a circle and we all sit together and we all discuss health. So we're gonna do that today. And I'm gonna get you to help me a little bit. So I'm gonna hand out some papers and I'll ask you if you'll help me a bit with this one. So you get something different. You've been sitting for a long time. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So overall, I do health, which incorporates healthy promoting schools, food coordination, and physical literacy lead. So I was hoping you would help me. So the white piece of paper, if you could read what's on it when it's your turn, and you're allowed to ask me like one thing on that paper, or you could ask me about the photograph. Okay, otherwise we'll be here all night. So John, would you mind starting? Could you read what's on your paper?
Food literacy BC Dairy Program. Reducing stigma, supporting schools and families. Teaching and talking to our students and food providers about food and nutrition and supplies and equipment.
Is there something you'd like me to talk about on that list?
Reducing stigma. Supporting schools and families.
Reducing stigma. So there's a whole mind shift in the area of food. And that mind shift is just supplying students and families with food. And there's no longer, we don't look at it as if there's bad food and good food. We look at it as if there's food and we call it by name. And we make sure that we give whatever our students. And I'm very excited about that mind shift. It's very, very exciting to hear about that mind shift. Can I talk about the picture here?
Sure.
This is Timber ice fishing. And so I was honored to go ice fishing with the encampment class. And it was amazing. You would not believe the concentration that they have to look down the hole and wait for a fish. And I think Timber caught the biggest fish ever. And that is the best connection that you can get. Getting your own food right there. Yeah, it was amazing. And what did your paper say, John?
Community.
You can scrunch that up. Make a ball.
Sure.
Yeah, make a ball. Scrunch this one up.
Together?
Yeah. Yeah, I got it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, kids in the know, Indigenous lessons. Schwepum mental health sessions, open parachute, health lessons and resources, self-team.
And is there something you'd like me to highlight
The
from there?
picture, what is the boy doing in the picture?
Okay, so this is Paxton, and I worked alongside Swacom Health, and they received a youth grant, youth harm reduction grant, and we went around to all the elementary schools in Merritt, and
we did mental health stations. I didn't take a picture of the station I was in charge of. I was in charge of the bubble station. Of course. And the bubble station was all about self-regulation. And that was really hard for kids not to pop the bubble. But it was such a great time to go with Swacom Health, which has such great knowledge. Some of the stations, for example, were about vaping for the older kids. We did stations about vaping. We did stations, Paxton is doing like his wheel of favorites. So like if he's feeling a little bit stressed, like what would he go to? What would he do? And it was just amazing. Their team is amazing. And it's so great to work with those great community members that we have. So it was really exciting. And what's your word?
Cultural.
Cultural. I'm gonna break that.
Lovely.
Okay, what do you got?
I got pre-venture, roots of empathy, relationship building lessons and groups, resources for teachers and families. And I want to know about the picture.
Aw, this is the cutest picture ever. This is the Roots baby. This is Riley. So Riley started when she was 3 months old doing Roots. And so the Roots program runs here in Merritt and also in Princeton. Erin does the Roots program, the Strong Start coordinator in Princeton. And we're lucky enough to work with a baby every month. And so the children watch their development and they learn about empathy, caring for others without getting anything in return. And it is completely amazing. And if I could do that program every single day, I would do it. And I really would like to do, this was a kindergarten class. I'd like to try an older class and a kindergarten class, and I'd like to get into more schools because it is just a phenomenal program. It's won awards, it's worldwide. We're so lucky to have it here in our school district. And what's your word?
Oh, Jane wants to know.
I was just gonna add something about roots of empathy. On my desk right now, there's a photograph of a kid who was actually in the Costa Rica video as a grade 12 student, and he was my Roots of Empathy baby. And I did it at the middle school with grade 8s. And it's Brody Hoisington.
Yes.
Was my Roots of Empathy.
Of course it was.
So,
Me.
Kimmy actually, no, I think he came once. I think he came once.
I did come once,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, scrunch it.
What was your word?
Mental,
Mental health.
oh yeah. Right.
Oh, good.
You were making it harder for me.
What do you got, Daryl?
District sports, elementary, secondary, in classroom physical movement, brain development and movement, teacher support with discussions and lessons, and outdoor education.
What would you like me to highlight?
I don't understand the picture.
Okay. So the picture I did just today, actually, I did in classroom support with Cindy Stead's class, and we did stations in her class, movement stations. So some of those stations were like sliders, they were dice workout, they were kickball, and they're all things that you can incorporate inside your classroom. And so I just finished doing multiple sessions at Vermilion Forks Elementary in Princeton. And so I have done all the schools, taking me years. I've done all the schools with this program, and it is amazing. And what's your word?
Social.
Social, so important to health. Okay. You want me to go back more?
Yeah. Oh, off the backboard, dude.
Right. What have you got?
So I have in-school sessions, equipment, assessment, different environments, movement for life. And I like to do movement for life.
Movement for life. So that is the overall goal for our students, is that they learn movement now with fundamental movement skills, and they learn those skills. And as they grow, they keep active. And so they golf when they get older, they snowshoe when they get older, and they appreciate movement and work that into their daily lives. And so that is the whole point of learning about movement. And what's the picture?
The picture?
Oh, can I walk around?
Yeah.
So different environments. So sometimes we forget that we have to move during the winter and move outside. So it's not just movement in the classrooms, it's moving outside. So this was a game of hungry hippos outside with the kids, and they were pulling each other on crazy carpets. So making it fun, so they want to move. Oh, like it's in the field. Oh, okay. Yeah, just in the field. And what's your word?
Environmental.
Environmental. Well, okay, what do you got?
I've got fundamental movement skills, hallway decals, traditional games, workshops for physical literacy, outside play, and play builder.
Great. Is there something you want me to highlight?
Well, the picture is of hallway decals.
Yes.
Are those present in all of our schools or?
So they are present in every elementary school except for one. So I'm still working on the one, but hallway decals are amazing. My show them. So these ones are a picture of Pollettville. I just finished Pollettville's hallway decals. And so the kids, they don't even need any direction from me. They know what to do. They know they get to hop and jump and spin. And they do it all with their body and not with their mouths.
Yeah.
And the bench pack's working on that.
Nice. Yes, and you can get amazing hallway decals. These ones came free with a program that I do, but you can get some really elaborate ones as well. What's your word?
Active. Way back, way back.
How far back?
Actually, I think I did put it together, so.
Oh.
All that coming.
Yeah. Good thought. Right, I have Fresh for Kids, Feeding Futures, Breakfast Club of Canada, breakfast, lunch and snack programs, and menu recipes cookbooks. Feeding Futures.
Feeding Futures. So Feeding Futures is a program from the provincial government that we get to help supply our schools to provide food for our students and our families. And we get it again next year, and they have criteria that we have to follow for Feeding Futures. Yeah, and the picture there that you have,
Fruit.
yes. So this picture is from a school, and the basket in front is a basket that was being refilled that goes in a classroom. So all the classrooms have this basket of fruit. And then all the rest of the lovely fruit is an assembly line that our food provider for that school was making into like wonderful little cups that day. And that was going to be part of their lunch. So I thought it was a beautiful, colorful shirt.
Very cool.
And what's your word?
Nice.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, what do you have?
So I have nutrition, BC School Food Toolkit.
Yes.
Farm to Cafeteria Grant, Farm to School Garden Connections, Indigenous Foods, and National School Food Program. And I'm wondering if you talk about the farm to school programs like in general and maybe in our school district as well.
Awesome. So the picture there, actually, we took that field trip on Monday and have another field trip on Friday.
Yeah.
And this is to the shack and greenhouses. It is completely amazing. So amazing. So this was the garden club at one of the schools, and they went and they were so gracious. They got to choose some plants to take back to their school garden. And making the connection to Indigenous plants as well, because they actually propagate Indigenous plants there. And they have such knowledge, and it's amazing. And we actually received a grant from the Farm to Cafeteria grant as an Indigenous food grant. And so this is kind of part of it. This is going on the field trip, making the connection, bringing plants back to the school, then eventually harvesting those plants, then eventually cooking those plants. So it's all part of that grant. And what's your word?
Nutrition.
Yay, crunch it up. Thank you.
Community Connections, Interior Health, Youth Harm Reduction Team, Legal Substance Team. Health Promoting Schools Committee, the HPSC, and sharing information. And then there's this wonderful picture you're gonna tell us all about. Cause they're littles, and there must be in some sort of.
Yes. So that was another one up from the mental health that we did in the elementary schools. So this was another station that they were doing, and they were talking to some of the nurses there. They're interacting with another one of the SWOT health, mental health. And just to have that conversation in schools was awesome. And the kids are so great at the conversations too.
Is that all schools, like ages, all ages kind of, or?
Just elementary school. Yeah, yeah. So the stations we did were kind of like age appropriate. Yeah.
Well, we have two, like K to 3, and then we have, so your stations look different, I'm sure, at different
Right.
schools.
Yes, yes. So we would take like primary kids kind of like in the morning and then intermediate in the afternoon, and we kind of switch up the station.
Fun day.
Yeah.
The word is emotional. Right?
Oh.
I noticed you moved the bucket. I saw it.
So the whole point is when we started, and I talked to the kids about this, is that our bucket was empty. But every little piece that we put in our bucket fills our health bucket. And health is a journey. It's a journey for all of us. It's a journey for our students. It's a journey for our families. And there's tons of positive things happening in the school district. And so we just filled the bucket with a whole bunch of things that the school district is doing. And I'm so proud to be part of all of those things that are happening in the school district. But it truly takes a team. It takes our community, it takes our families, it takes our educators, our staff, everyone to provide health. So.
Great job.
Once again, I have to interject. Lisa is way too modest. I cannot say enough. I cannot compliment her enough. I cannot tell you how neglected she has been and how she has just run with this. There isn't a place I go where I don't see Lisa. So you say you just are amazing. You're amazing. You're a gift. So thank you.
Thank you, Coach Shem. I love my job, and the education is work of the heart, and everybody that's involved in it knows that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome to stay in the center for the rest of the time.
Oh, wow. It's, I think it's
Careful
our best
lifting it, you could
edition.
put your back out.
Put your back into it.
A lot of wood here.
Information. Oh, that's great.
I just have to say thank you to Simone, who formats all of this and puts it together. And our admin have really stepped up as the year has gone on to share the wonderful things that happen in our schools. And even though this document, I feel like we killed a few trees with this. It's gotten longer and longer, but it's only a small measure of what actually goes on in our schools each day. I'm just gonna go through and highlight one thing for each school. Just because I don't want to steal your thunder as trustees, and also there's a lot in here. But Diamondville, one of the things they did, Division 2 partnered with local wildfighters and the Ministry of Forestry to learn about tree planting. So being out on the land and learning those pieces. When we look at PSS, they were learning about ancient Egyptian art, and we've actually seen a lot of requests for art for next year. So we're building that into our timetable. And our trades kids have began learning about glass cutting. So lots of great hands-on learning going on there. Vermilion Forks, you may or may not be aware, but Battle of the Books took place in May, and they came in first place for Battle of the Books in Merit. So that was a hard fought win. And it was going back and forth, but they were very excited for the victory in the end. Community Learning Center, I have to give a real shout out to Alison Cuzio. She's doing great work with our kids there, and she really highlights the wonderful things that are happening. Probably their proudest moment was our students that were walking the stage in Indigenous grad. And you know what? gonna be happy to see them graduate next week in the traditional, you know, or formal grad ceremony. And if you had a chance to go to Indigenous grad, probably my favorite event of the entire year. Really, it's kind of the culmination of everything I did in my graduate come alive. Seeing that number of Indigenous graduates and just the recognition and pride that comes with it. Culletville has been quite busy. So they were out on the land at the fish hatchery, learning about the salmon life cycle. You know, since the weather has been lovely, you know, the kids have been out, and I think Daryl told me there's close to like 100 field trips planned between May and June. And they've scrambled to find bus coverage for all of them. So credit to our transportation department there. At Merritt Secondary School, they did their grade 8 leadership conference, and it was actually run by the senior leadership students. We're seeing a lot of giving back within our schools and really welcoming the kids in so that high school is a less intimidating process than it has been in the past. Looking at Nicola Canford, I was going to highlight that they got to dissect a heart last month. You know, they believe on the hands-on learning, seeing it in full glory right in front of them. There's a reason why I didn't take biology, so but you know, great that she's providing typically what are more high school experiences at a lower level, so that might spark that interest in those kids that, you know, are interested in being doctors or, you know, studying something in biology or pharmacology or one of those things. The monthly French newsletter, they did an early celebration of O Canada, and it was Canadian themed and tons of red and white. There's been some great events happening over the last month there as well. JA, my favorite part is grade 1s were able to watch the eggs in the incubator and watch them hatch. Part of the best part of spring sometimes when you're in lower elementary. Parents are always a little fearful of where are all those chicks gonna go once they're hatched. But they're doing a lot of really wonderful hands-on learning in our school so that kids can see it come alive. It's not just a worksheet or book learning, it's actually let's see it, let's touch it, let's feel it. For Skies, sometimes we forget about our adult learners that we have, and we actually have over 300 adult learners that we're helping to reach their goals. So you know what, that's filling gaps of maybe some upgrading that they need to do, or you know, they've realized that they need to pick up another course potentially for the post-secondary that they want to go into. So doing some great works, not just for school-age kids, but also adults as well. And then looking at Bench, they had a really impressive attendance rate at their Merit Literacy Parent Engagement Night. It was great to see that many parents come out, especially around literacy and learning. And I think it's a real compliment to what's going on in the school. And then for Central, Natasha always wants to be the winner in terms of volume and the wonderful things that they do. But I wanted to highlight their first ever family picnic. I thought that was such a great event where, you know, you brought families, students, and staff all together. And you know what? I think this is one thing we do really well in Nicholas Milkameen. It's true community. It's not just about school and learning. It's about really providing care and attention to everyone. But I would encourage you to go through and have a read of the whole thing. We've started posting it on our Facebook page and emailing it out because we just really want to share the good work that happens in our schools. So thank you.
Thank you.
The next year is our $20.3 million request.
I think it's relatively straightforward, but thank goodness Daryl is here because he'll be able to answer any questions you have about this one. I think these have been on before, or are they new projects?
Yes, this is the third year of these.
Okay.
Do we know if, I'm asking this because we were originally going to do a pit house here because of the water table, it became a house of honor above ground.
Yeah.
We're good at Nicola Canford because I know there's a stream that runs fairly close there. We can do a pit house?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay.
You're looking for a motion?
We need a motion.
We need a
for this.
motion to accept this so we can send it to the ministry for 20.3 million. Moved by trustee Chenoweth, seconded by trustee Jepson. Were you raising an objection there, trustee Hoisington?
No, it's fine with it.
All in favor? Great. And now the operations manager's update.
Okay, so. Any flashy videos, but I do.
Did you want to talk about hatchets and doors or?
So what I'm handing out is just summary of some work orders, so we'll walk through it. What the district is doing. Build fewer trees.
Oh, we're going both ways here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, if we start with the one with a nice pie. This is work orders requested by facility. So this kind of gives you an idea of what the schools or what the volume of each school is requesting. You'll see the first one is the board office. No, the board office isn't falling down and we're fixing it every day. These are ones the staff put in themselves because when they go to a school, they're asked these questions and we're tracking those. And we just haven't been able to track them and put them into the proper schools. So that 388, you could probably divide it between the other ones, add them in. That's the one where you walk in to fix a door and there's a window that won't open or the tap's leaking or that type of thing, and then they quickly fix it. And then I've asked them to put a work order in for everything so we can track it, so we can look at pretty colors. With for 2,470. So if we go to the bar graph, multi-bar graph one, this is just showing you by month and what has been requested and what was completed throughout the month. It's quite close through the normal months each full school month. Of course, March we have spring break in there, and July, August, and then December we have the winter break. So that's the differences, but again, it shows just month per month how many work orders are happening. The last one shows what's just the totals through the whole year. So this is from June to June 10th. So 2,700 submitted, 2,400 completed, with 2,600 assigned, so completed and assigned, so there's still work orders with the guys that are, they have a backlog of 20, 30 work orders each, right? So as they work on, and they prioritize, so when they get work orders, just because you got yours in that day doesn't mean it's going to get done. You have a priority, anything affects kids, number one, teaching, and then so on. The principal that wants a new plugin in his office might be a little more.
Yeah, nice to
That type of thing. Kids that have a light bulb burned out, can't really see very well, high priority. So that's the work orders. Any questions on work orders?
That's a lot. Do you classify them at all so you can see trends like into different, like, I don't know, like windows, like electrical and.
The system we're on is fairly new and we're working that out, so it's a little deceiving this year if I would have printed that off. Because we've just been expanding classifications, trying to break it down. Within a year or two, we should have it a little more precise.
Where it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So none of this would be your deferred maintenance list. This is.
This is just work orders day to day requested by schools. So on top of that, which I don't have a paper for. Currently, there's 62 projects on the go. Between AFG, SCP, CNCP, playgrounds. Diamondville Playground will be finished next week. If you haven't been by there, got 3 great big truckloads of chips and they've been madly putting them in place. So that should be open next week, or maybe even Friday. We're trying to push it. Some of the bigger projects are we're working with Lisa in the food infrastructure program. We've been very lucky to receive the food infrastructure as we requested it. So some of the schools are JA, Vermilion, MSS, Dunville, Bench. They're all getting new equipment. Running some more power and that type of thing for refrigerators and ovens. And so hopefully to help Lisa on what she's doing, this will play into it perfectly. So they can serve better food and not have to get the frozen whatever they're serving now, or I don't know what they're serving. It was just helping out. We're doing lots of HVAC stuff. I know over the years, I've asked in the SCP, which you guys will be seeing in September. Lots of HVAC projects. We are doing very well. Ministry is supporting us very well with all the new heating and cooling and kind of redoing our buildings. So that's good. We have another, we're just finishing off that 1.3 million from last year. 2 years, and now this year we received 320,000, so we'll be starting on that 320,000 on Vermilion, or sorry, JA is going to get a new full rooftop unit where they have fresh air coming in, and it'll be a wonderful system, a huge upgrade for that building. And then we're doing a couple other little projects to use up the rest of the 320 at I believe CMS and MSS. And then the last one to really note is the bench power project. So this has been on the books for 3-4 years now. Finally we've been able to get the go ahead. Ministry's been really good at deferring the funding and letting us keep going. Working with Hydro has been the challenging part. And they changed their scope here again recently. So what's going to happen is they're putting in a pole across the road on the bench side. Power is going to drop down the pole and go underground and then serve a new breaker and new power for that school. What happens now is it comes across through a tree, literally through a tree, and to the school, which is about 8 feet in the air. And about 3 years ago, I caught 2 kids hanging off that power wire. And that was the spark to get this going, make sure we get that power put underground. Since then, we've made it as safe as possible, put up barriers and that type of thing, but it's our main power coming in on that school is literally 8-9 feet in the air. Crazy. Yeah. Any questions?
What's just in the what's the FIP?
Food infrastructure program.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't remember. Thank you.
That power change at bench, and one of the issues has been there, because I've been there when they've done pancake breakfasts, just having enough outlets that don't blow every breaker in the school.
Yeah, and we're with this food infrastructure program, with the updates we're doing, we are putting in new plugs and a couple new power supplies for there, so hopefully we'll change that. Excellent.
Any other questions for?
Just
Great job.
comment about wow, and thank you to you and the whole team. Wow, thank you.
And I have to say, I have a great team. They've really pulled together And we have carpenters, we have electricians, we have plumbers but if we need somebody to help haul chairs, I have carpenters and the plumbers hauling chairs just to get it done for grad and we all get together and we just make things happen. And just like the fire the other day, I picked up the phone and started screaming until I can't even tell you what I told you. It's like, I need somebody. And they were right there and we had gates open and they were helping with the fire department to make sure there was access and they just come together and it's great. So we have a really good team.
We're incredibly lucky to have Daryl as our operations manager. He's often the glue that literally is holding things together. And as you can see from our maintenance requests, you know, our buildings are aging and there's a lot of, you know, just daily maintenance and on top of the other projects that we're doing. He manages it seamlessly. Melissa is a great right hand to him, but I have to say his team is truly a team. They step up, they help, and I think that's a real credit to Daryl's leadership. So just thank you for everything that you do.
Daryl. Thank you, Daryl.
Next, the ever popular topic of busing. Start with Courtney because there was also like open my phone 2 questions that I didn't see on there, but we do have you as a board tonight. So this is something that keeps coming back. So we want to do some research around that on the funding that's received. We had a meeting with the town of Princeton as well. Additional routes, so I'll turn it over to Courtney.
I'm not gonna read it word for word for you, but I went back to Harold to find out what is our rule factor. And it's the 179 or the 180,000 that we talk about. That's where they give it. The ministry doesn't define busing as a core service. And one of the arguments you'll get is, well, as a board, you decide where you allot those funds. So technically you could take them from other places and put them into transportation. In the reality of our district, we're already putting about 800,000 just into our daily routes, and it gives us a shortfall of about 620,000. If we compare that in terms of the number of staff equivalent, it's about 5.16 FTE of teachers or 13.8 FTE of educational assistants. So we already make a significant investment in transportation. And I don't think we need to rehash the reasons why we're rural. There's a lot of other pieces there. One of the other things I was asked, and Daryl and Melissa helped me with this, is what is the actual walk limit? So our walk limits are 4 kilometers for K-3 and then 5 for 4 to 12. When we actually looked at our numbers of how far are people walking, in Princeton for elementary, they're not walking longer than 1.5 to their bus stop. And the longest walk using the roads, because I asked Earl how he figured it out, it wasn't as the crow flies, it's 3.5. So these are significantly below our walk limits already. In Merritt, Bench is our longest walk to their neighborhood school, and then all of the other ones are below 2.4. Our longest distance is actually there's a new subdivision when you head up towards NVIT and you turn to the right, it's up there behind Starbucks and
At the gas station.
above the gas station. So that's our longest walk at 4.4 kilometers. I think we have 1 or 2 students living up there. And then we've attached the maps. They're attached to the memo, kind of outlining what those walk limits look like for you. And then at our meeting with the MLA and some of the parent groups, I was asked to look into SD58's transportation review. So when we were there for the branch meeting, what we learned is they had closed 1 school the year prior and they're closing 2 schools this year. So when you close a school, looking at your transportation routes is part of the work that you do. This has actually been in the works since 2019 when I followed up with them, but it's given them some opportunities. Their transportation system operates a little bit differently than ours. They don't have contracted employees in their collective agreement. They actually contract their bus services. They also have a lot of nominal space or space on their bus routes. They have 13 routes. When I spoke to their superintendent, he said that a lot of them were running just over about 50%. And even with the new policy they put in place, they haven't had to say no to any of the people that want courtesy rides for it. They did reduce their walk limits. When you do this, you have to figure out how many additional people you're gonna have on your buses. They have enough room there. They are gonna charge everyone a fee to register. It's $25. And then if you are eligible for busing, everyone has to pay $75. And then the costs go up as courtesy riders. And then they do have some discounts if you have multiple children. But it comes at a pretty significant cost. And I asked them, is this gonna cover the cost of your transportation system? And they said, no, it'll cover probably about $150,000, and their transportation system costs them around $800,000 a year too. And I think you would see the difference there when you have contracted employees for when you can contract a service out. The cost is less because oftentimes the contractor isn't necessarily under a collective agreement, or it wouldn't be the same rates that we would pay. The biggest learning piece that came out of this for me is they have a piece around financial assistance for those families that are experiencing hardship and wouldn't be able to pay these fees. When I look at Merritt especially, but also Princeton, we have a lot of families that cannot make ends meet as it is. Like our Mercury data tells us that 16% of our kids are going home and going to bed hungry. I have deep reservations about implementing fees, even that $25, because if that's going to be a barrier for people to come, and even though we would offer relief for financial hardship, it's not always comfortable having to ask for that. And when we granted those, which we would, I'm not sure that we would really collect anything beyond minimal fees, because we'd have a lot of people that we would have to waive the fees for. And I asked them about their collection rates. Like what is the percentage that you collect? They don't know because they've never charged these fees before. It's completely brand new. There's a lot of administration time that goes into setting this all up, tracking the money, and then the collections piece of it. We had pretty significant school fees when I was in Alberta, and we were lucky if we were able to collect 75% of them. So it's just some food for thought. I actually thought it was a good exercise in learning what other people are doing. What became clear to me is we're in a different position in terms of space on our buses and in terms of the economic capacity of our community in general. For sure, we have people that could pay these fees and, probably would. But I think we have a lot of people that I think it's just another barrier to them coming to school every day.
So a couple of pieces before you, because it keeps coming up at meetings, and when we had the last meeting in Princeton, we figured out the cost was $18.49 per day if we actually put in another bus based on 40 seats, aside from the cost of a bus. And we've had some questions in Merritt too about whether or not, and I've been saying no, but I actually have been saying no on your behalf. So I want to make sure I've been getting my no's correctly. Of whether you as a board wish to entertain either a reservation fee or charge a fee to our rural students who are beyond the walk limit to get bused into school. And if we don't want to do that, I would recommend then we put this one to bed. So unless someone's willing to make that as a motion to discuss it. But it's because it keeps coming up that people keep asking that question. And one of the questions that was asked was, well, if you charged a fee to rural students, that could subsidize students in town, because the $18.49 per day, $9 a trip is expensive. So that's the first piece out there for you. So I want to make sure that when I'm saying the board has no intention of charging our rural students, that I'm on solid ground.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And the other one was whether or not we wanted to charge a cost recovery, non-subsidized ridership fee for students within the walk limits. I think our seats are full, but the other thing is if it's non-subsidized, you're talking about $9 a trip, which would be $2,100 a month for a parent, which I don't see why we would do that. And that's assuming if you had room on the bus, and that's kind of the pay to play model where I've been saying that we're not interested in, if you can afford it, we'll give you a seat on the bus. If you can't afford it, I guess you're walking. So I just want to make sure we're on that page or.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. The other concern I would have with that is that we don't have enough seats to necessarily even allow everybody who would want a seat, so it would become almost a raffle system to keep it fair, and I'm not sure that that's not equitable either, and I would have concerns about.
A raffle, or you would have to purchase a new bus, which I think they're what, about $225K?
You've got about plus $6,400 per student for the first year.
Yeah, but you also have to buy a bus if you don't have enough seats, and I'm thinking we don't have enough seats because we have to. If a student signs up for a bus, we have to have a seat for them on that bus, whether they show up every day or not. And so that was when we were talking on the last time with a group that no, an actual bus, which the ministry won't fund, would be $225,000 plus $100 and something thousand a year to run it.
So I guess my follow-up to that, so the registration fee, the $25 or $75 sign-up fee, is something that I believe that SD67 is implementing or has implemented.
They're going to implement it for next year.
So they don't know if it even works at this point.
They're not sure because their superintendent was great and answered all of my questions for me. It's a completely brand new system. So everyone has to pay the $25. So regardless of whether you have one child or 6 children, it's a $25 registration fee. And then everyone who is within outside of their walk limits, it's $75. And then if it's a courtesy ride, the cost is significantly more. They've done a transportation review, but I don't think they will know for sure until it actually rolls out. But he did tell me they had enough room on their buses. They haven't had to turn anyone down for a courtesy ride, which, and to your point, it becomes inequitable because, even if it's a lottery system or a raffle, it's not necessarily a great way to do it. And we don't have that much space on our buses.
I think my concern even for the registration fee, because I know we'd spoken of in the meeting, preventing people from signing up and then not using the system. My concern is that the people who can afford to afford to pay that fee to sign their kids up don't care. Like they can afford it, so they're gonna sign up whether they use it or not. But I think my concern is always that it's going to punish those people who maybe need the service but don't have that fee. And I'm not seeing how, like, I guess what I would, without knowing how it's even going to work in the Penticton's district, that implementing something like that here just feels a little, I'm not sure that there's a purpose to it at this point without that information or, that equity piece.
Yeah, their courtesy rider was $225 plus the $25 fee for $250, and then so that's Okanagan Skaha. Central Okanagan, I think is still $450. I think for us as a rural district, it's pushing right now still through the governance lens to get government to recognize busing for rural communities as a core service to get children to school. It's probably where we still want to push on. And on the rural factor, there's nothing in the rural factor about busing. When we looked it up, it's your distance from Vancouver based on a factor plus our distance to Kamloops based on a factor divided by a number, which figures out the rural factor. So there is nothing in the rural factor that even says that there's a quotient for rural busing. It's not there. It's based on distance to a community over 100,000, which would be Kamloops or Kelowna, a distance to Vancouver. So you're going, the formula is like, and it's plugged in, you go, it doesn't, you know,
It's not working.
yeah, that's what the rural factor is. So I thought it was gonna show climate, it was gonna show rural busing. No, it's how far you from Vancouver and Kamloops divided by X, that it creates a factor.
So it's not even specifically for busing.
Well, they call it the rural factor, and you know, that's typically. It's the only line that we can specifically find that kind of references transportation in our budget, but. The answer from the ministry will always be like, as a board, you allot where you know, it comes as a parcel of money and you decide how you distribute it. You know, I think our board has done the right thing by continuing busing for rural, because that's where we live, and it really does create barriers for.
We didn't see the next year that they moved some money into the block. That money just disappeared. Just disappeared. So, and that's the piece they forget, is say, well, it's up to you from what's in the block. And it's like, well, you never took the money and put it back in which case then all we'd be talking about is cost pressures from inflation. The money just was removed. So even though they'll say that the number is the highest it's ever been per student, that per student number hasn't kept up with inflation. So I think we're still best to talk with other districts to how do we get busing seen as a core service. It's interesting when you look at the number we get for busing. New West gets a similar number. I'm thinking we have slightly more, I don't want to pick on New West, but being a small urban city compared to the distances we have, and them having two sky trains that run through their community. It's a different animal. Anyway, so I'm seeing everyone's yes, where I'm going is still where we are as a board. But so that means staff don't have to worry about if they get any more requests. It's the board's not charging rural students, and it's not interested in a subsidized rate at this time. Good, excellent.
Trustee Rayner had a question.
Rayner, trustee.
Yeah, I just like to put forward the meeting that we had with the MLA and Wilson and parents. Town of Princeton, or town of Princeton, the parents. There was a lot of good dialogue out of that, and with what the town is hoping to do with their transit and getting that, hopefully that'll be a solution, really positive thing for the town. So hopefully that comes through. That's all.
I think that's something for us to support with the town there. Our support with them with BC Transit to get a public transit system. The next one is logo rollout.
So Jane is gonna take over for me because I just have to go pop out and do a quick chief and council meeting. I will see you at 8:15 if you're not through your agenda by then.
So, as you are aware, the Nicholasville Community School District worked really hard to have a really beautiful new logo introduced, thanks to the work of community stakeholders and rights holders and kids, especially kids. And a part of that has been to have discussions around what sorts of things we are going to do to spread the visibility and increase the visual identity of our school district. So things like logos in schools, things like a new logo in our boardrooms, which are on their way, and looking at different opportunities of places to put our logos. And one of the things that came up that we want to share with you, because it sort of has dual purpose, is these boxes that will have our logo on them. And they'll be very important to kids who will recognize our logo, as these boxes will be a place where kids will have the opportunity to ask a superintendent a question or make a comment, or maybe they're going to ask a question of the board chair or make a comment to the board school of trustees. So we're gonna combine kids understanding the logo, what it means, who they are, community, sense of place of and purpose, and voice. So it's just another, this is one example of how we're gonna use the logo and bring kids and their ideas and their vision to all of you and how the logo is gonna support that work. So every school will be getting one of these and we will figure out how to make sure the messages get to the right people.
Perfect, thank you.
And written literacy, which
You betcha.
employers are challenged with
There you go.
these days. They can't fill out forms.
Absolutely.
So
We'll be working on all that stuff.
teacher print.
Yeah. Thank you.
And the next is our Riverside Child Care Center update. I think our opening is it's already open with our soft and our open grand opening is the 24th. Invite only, yes.
Yes. So yes, once again, we just want to really highlight this beautiful work. Daryl, full appreciation to everything you've done on top of running a school district. You built a childcare facility, so thank you, and really celebrating the beautiful mural. That was kind of the icing on the proverbial icing on the cake, done by an Upper Similkameen artist, celebrating the 4 food chiefs. Yeah, just really thrilled. Yeah,
She in that house.
yes, yes. Thank you. So,
And I had a story.
it works.
The mural was done by 2 young ladies and they were great. I was there both days that they were doing that and yeah, it was really cool to watch that take place, but I was there today. We're just wrapping up a few little things and I went outside the playground and the older kids, like the 3 to 5, I guess, whatever they are.
The big kids.
The big kids. The big kids and the little. We're out in the back playground running around and this little boy come up to the fence and said, "Who are you?" Right? And I said, "Oh, I, helped build this and how do you like it?" He goes, "These are the best toys ever." And he ran off and he was jumping through the little wall and everything, so.
Who are you?
Yeah. It was.
High school.
It was really good. That's excellent, yeah.
Oh, dear, that's cool.
Lovely. The mural's beautiful.
Yeah, it's cool. You see it in person, it's cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Nice.
Then we have the IEC preliminary budget.
So yes, the preliminary budget is presented here. The IEC will be meeting again on July 2nd to finish their work on their budget, and then that will be presented to you as well.
That's September.
Yes.
It'll be the September meeting.
Yeah.
We have several items in your package for first reading. Disposal of land or improvements is one, and then you have 7 for second reading and 2 for third reading.
So I'm not really sure. I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm
So
not sure.
first reading, we need 6.51 disposal of land or improvements so that we can move this out to our partner groups and rights holders. So moved by Trustee Rayner, seconded by Trustee Hoisington. Anyone opposed? We have that's approved. Then second reading 3.5, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, 6.5, 6.6, and 6.7, which is Silken and Kashim language and culture, signing authorities, expense reimbursement, public use of facilities, school closure, video surveillance, and student transportation on second reading. Moved by Trustee Ward, seconded by Trustee Chenoweth. Anyone opposed? Those ones are approved for second reading. And then third reading is 2.6, respectful learning and working communities, and 6.5, which is the school closure one.
And just one, if I could.
I think we're doing a first reading on a revised piece on the school closure from the
Yes, there was a,
legal team.
yes, that's what,
So let me
yes.
cross off 6.5 there for third reading. So it'll just be 2.60. Moved by trustee Ward, seconded by trustee Rayner. Not seeing anyone opposed. And then for first reading is the recommendation from Harrison Company on the wording that we actually need for a school closure policy. And given that we're looking at the potential for something in the future, looking for first reading of that, and then it will come back to us in September. Moved by trustee Kent Laidlaw, seconded by trustee Jepson. Anyone opposed on that one? So the new one from Harrison Co. for school closure is approved for first reading.
They're delayed.
Now we have, we're moving to PAC reports. So I will.
Just to recognize that item A will be off the agenda.
Yes, so we won't have our student trustee reports tonight. As I mentioned, our student trustees had some things beyond their control this evening. And so we miss that they're here. And we move on to, there are some cards for you guys to sign as well. I hope those got around, but we move to PAC reports. And
Just before, I think in the past we've done like a letter of briefings to continue to do that.
yes, and we also asked them if they want either myself or the superintendent to do a letter of reference for them. That's great. And I think we let them keep their technology. If
Yes.
And
Looking forward to meeting some of the students next year.
yeah, I think it was great.
Very
Yeah.
So I'll start with the shy one. Trustee Lloyd.
Well, I don't have much to read. The PAC meeting for VFE unfortunately had to move, so it was scheduled for May 29th and it moved to May 28th. Now, this PAC meeting is typically the year-end PAC meeting that they go out for a nice like dinner. And I sent a note and a special note to Principal Lawrence, who is retiring this year. And he is the interim principal, he's been the principal at VFE. And so I just really wanted to acknowledge Bill and certainly wanted to acknowledge Myrna Coates, the infamous ever ready rabbit band teacher that has just given our community nothing but beautiful the arts, really, ultimately. And if you talk to Myrna, she would say that school was difficult for her and that music saved her and that life in education and in band is everything to her. And what she's done for building inclusion in our community is something to behold. And so, yeah, so in support, I sent a note and I thanked everyone and Daryl, I'll be sure to give an update on the FIP project so that all of the, I would think in the fall, it sounds like we have some new components for Vermilion Forks and JA, but just a committed group of parents and educators. Man, there's nothing but love that day. So I missed out on a little dinner, but yeah. Look forward to the next year.
Trustee Kent Laidlaw.
So we had our last PSS PAP. And I just have to give a big shout out to our PAC president, Erin Williams, because this was her last year doing it. She's been doing it for something like 13 years. Her youngest is graduating next year, so she wanted to spend some time working on that as her project for the year. So she's been amazing, and you know, the school has been better for having her there working with the PAC. Otherwise, we spent a bit of time doing kind of a Q&A about budget questions and things that some of the PAC members had. So I was able to answer those questions for them, dispel weird rumors that they'd heard, things like that. So it was really good. I think everybody kind of came out of it with more information than we started with. It does sound like they're having positive news on new teachers, because I know that there's been quite a bit of change and they've lost a few teachers due to moves or changes and that sort of thing. So it does look like we're in a good place, except for the shop teacher. That's still a work in progress, but or at least it was back in.
It's still a work in progress.
There
I
was-
checked again this morning.
Still a work in
Yeah.
progress, but you know, they're working really hard because they know that the trades programs and shop class is like such a critical component for a lot of kids that maybe don't feel at home in like a strictly academic setting, and that they tend to like the shop and they feel really safe there. And we talked a bit about that because some of the PAC members had kids who had said, you know, like without that shop that their school experience wouldn't have been as good. So hopefully we get something there. And otherwise, you know, sounds like we'll probably get some new parents in PAC next year, because we're gonna have some parents coming up from BFE. And our next meeting is set for September 23rd, when they're gonna do the AGM.
So for Diamondville, they moved their last meeting, actually to the same day as the central PAC meeting, the same time. So I had a bit of a conflict, and they were gracious enough to say, oh, the central needs you now, so go there. We don't have a lot going on. Both schools actually, Downville and Central, getting new principals in September, so Downville is looking forward to that. Gonna miss Becky a lot, but we're seeing Daniela in there. And the big thing for them right now is waiting for that playground that they've been watching get built over the last number of weeks, and they're all dancing to get at it. And then Central had a very busy last month with all the activities we see in the superintendent's report. But the focus of the last PAC meeting was understandably about the school closure process, and we had somewhat difficult but really engaging conversation. There's a lot of good dialogue about what happens now and where we go, how can we advocate. And they followed that up with a letter with a bunch of really good insightful questions that we're working on getting some answers back to them. So they're in a bit of a more questions than answers they have right now at that school, but yeah, again, they're excited for the end of the school year and look forward to a new start in September. Not that central.
Nicola Canford was gonna meet this week for their end of the year blowout, but they're unable to get everybody they wanted to attend. So that's not gonna happen. Lots going on at Nicola Canford, of course, at the end of the year. Made it to the track meet this year, so it's like to see lots of Nicola Canford school pride there. And then I know that their grade sevens have left for their trip to, what's that place called? Eagle Bay. So lots of excitement. I don't think they're the only school attending to that either, are they?
No, it's actually across the district, all of, yeah, it's a nice opportunity for them to all come together. I kept forgetting they were all leaving today, and I kept texting principals, and they're like, I'm at Eagle Bay.
Why are you calling?
Yeah.
I got my middle daughter is there right now, and I got a video from her teacher today of her using the zip line, so we're having a ton of fun.
That's awesome. Anyways, yeah, so I don't think that Nicola Canford PAC will be getting back together now until September, so. Lots of good work there.
Okay, and John Allison, I'll start out with a tough one. They asked some questions about the maintenance person leaving Princeton, so they were talking about a 2 days cleanup of glass, you know, it took 2 days. So I'm hoping in the future that when we get our new secretary treasurer, that we can hopefully find some money to get that position back, because it is, I think, a valuable position, and the parents seem to really think it too. I'll just also put a note in there for the AGM they're gonna have for the new PAC, September 16th. And then all the fun stuff that Leah usually likes to do, but I've got it. The Manning Park, they're going to Rockridge for their final days. Fun field day, like I guess it's a sports day kind of thing. Swimming lessons, National Indigenous Peoples Day at the Métis Association. grade 3 trip to VFE, which is really cool because they go up and see the school and meet the new principal and all that. So that's kind of cool. Math game they had using purchasing goods, for setting up a store so kids kind of get a transaction, real life kind of thing, which is cool. And they're having bubbles and books. Not exactly sure what that's. Oh, it's bubbles and food.
That was last night, I think.
Yeah, bubbles, books,
Today,
and
this afternoon, maybe.
yeah. And it's guided reading involved with food and bubbles and all that. So really, yeah, just fun stuff at all schools. I'm busy at these schools, if you guys don't know. That's it, Johnny.
Okay, thanks. At Skies is tonight. So I missed that one. I talked to Dan, next year we gotta think about these.
Yeah.
At Colville, we had our last meeting in May. As it was right in the heat of the budget talks, of course, a lot of the discussion focused on their dismay at what would happen through the budget process through their eyes as parents. So they did let me know very respectfully that they felt like they weren't heard throughout the budget process. Even though it was public, they felt that, okay, how do we do that? Is there some policies they can look at trying to influence or whatever? So they are gonna look at that as a pack to say, how do we have a voice, a greater voice during the budget process? Now, they also, as I mentioned earlier, they will find ways to support all parents that can't get their kids to school. They said they'll figure it out. They'll carpool and things like that, so.
Said that?
Yeah, that's what they do anyway, right? That's parents are carpooling all. Right. And they're gonna look at, they're gonna just poll parents to, they are curious to see if they will lose students because of the busing to their catchment schools. And then can they do as a pack to say, hey, we'll figure this out for you, that kind of thing. So they're very resourceful. I did say that I would relay all of their concerns to our school district, and I have. So I've done. Now, as a pack, they're very, very good at fundraising. And they're very good at supporting school projects. I don't know if you know this game, Daryl, but they want to put some funding towards some game that happens in the out in the playground.
The Gaga pit?
Yes.
Gaga pit,
Yeah.
that's it.
Dude,
I was like, what is a Gaga pit? They were telling me, I've never seen it.
we have two in the district.
Is that right?
They
I
go
think
down
they
for
wanna,
bench.
they're gonna, yeah, they wanna fund one over there, so. And they're also putting a lot of funding toward, like, already planning their welcome back barbecue in September. Which was a lot of fun and a lot of parents show up to that. Year-end trips to Monk Park, awards, all kinds of things, so. They're very engaged back, very supportive. But they just wanted me to know they felt like they didn't have a voice. And so said, we really. Thanks.
I would interject with one thing that Colville did, I think this week, so probably didn't hit your report or pack, but they had like a dual dogwood kind of presentation. Do you guys know much about that? Looks like they get some of the graduates up on stage in front of the school. They get to ask them questions and they present a little bit. I just thought that was a pretty neat thing that
Yeah,
they
we
did.
went to the French celebration.
Yeah, on Tuesday.
We were there.
Or yesterday.
Anyways, I just thought that was a highlight. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was very nice for kids to see the grade 12 students.
Totally.
Similar to, don't we have grade 12 students go to all the
They
elementary
go through all the
schools?
schools.
Yeah, so
In Princeton too.
I don't know if they do it.
That we do that in Merritt where they go back.
Love that.
They go back to all their.
I'd like to say the first time we did it was at Nick McCanford,
Oh, you would be wrong.
when I was the principal.
Ken Setter as always.
Yes.
Oh, so that's inspiring.
He started teaching when he was 14. Merit Bench, so through they've got new food program equipment for next year, which includes some knives that'll actually cut, which is good. Popcorn machine, and you're gonna love this through their social development and wellness. They will have a smoothie machine for making smoothies for the kids next year. We've already talked about Eagle Bay. They also had their kindergarten grad and a talent show as well. And Indigenous Day activities they've had, including bannock, teepee raising, creek dancing performances, and then Mrs. Canigan and Mrs. Seacon, taking new roles in the district, so that would be a change for the school in terms of staffing. And of course, the 4s and 7s have been doing their literacy and numeracy assessments. For MSS, there was the grade 8 leadership conference, and the theme was a Minecraft day that the students organized. So lots of energy, connection, and activities there. The grade 10 students had an opportunity to visit True for a tour. And the students also included a mine ed conference at TRU where they explored careers in the mining industry. So at least one trustee has to like that.
Yeah. Love it.
The junior boys golf won the Okanagan Playdowns.
Nice.
Which was good to see. And then the ultimate frisbee team, which had won the Okanagans, finished in the top 8 in the BC AA provincials, which is great. And 2 weeks ago, like I said, is now the shop club completed their 2nd annual go-kart races where they finished on top. I'm almost thinking there could be a board authorized horse there. You literally see some students who 2 years ago had attendance issues, and since they've started with that, you'll see those kids still there at 8, 9 o'clock on a Thursday night.
Right on.
Because it's hands-on learning, so it's great to see that. The 3 pieces of art have been put into the Margaret Reynoldsson collection. And then they had their last bacon read with the elementary school, so that's something to do here, a bacon read with the secondary school with the elementary kids. And then you already know about Battle of the Books. That is theirs. Also, one neat thing, one of the children who's coming over to the school has some specific learning needs, and his sister is graduating out, but they're making arrangements for the sister to actually take him through the school first as a grade 7. So he's going to get that one-on-one where she can show him the school, and I think that's so cool.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's my report, and I don't think we have any correspondence. I don't think we have any question period. I know trustee Ward has her purse packed and
Can I just add one shout out?
we'll have to check with trustee Ward because she has her car keys out.
The district held its track meet last couple of weeks, 2 weeks ago, last week. And I think it's a really cool event. I think we had a couple of years off, but it's a cool event because kids from Princeton and Merritt all come to compete. And there's lots of good volunteers, and the high school comes and helps out too, so it's kind of a neat kind of event. But I want to shout out Becky specifically for her work that day. She was the announcer on the microphone, like last year was
Danielle.
So anyway, Becky did a great job on the mic, and I was just feeling that she was at her best that day and having a lot of fun. So great job, Becky.
Shout out to that. And
Nice. This year though.
Trying to keep the natural disasters down.
And again, just, I know the students over at the metal work class, the fact that we were able to replace the plasma cutter, kids were at that last stage of completing their project, so getting that to them. I think 2:30 yesterday, they had it there, they were unpacking it, they were really appreciative of the fact that we were able to do that for them. So
Right on.
it's good to see. So I will take a motion to adjourn our final meeting of this school year.
Oh, gosh, yes.
I'll make the motion.
All in favor? Gary, we are adjourned.
Right on, gang.
That was our last official board meeting. You never know.